Do you get nervous a lot of the time, or do you tend to pace when you're talking on the phone? If so, you may be a Vata type. Yes, Vata, V-A-T-A, from Ayurveda, which is a 5,000-year-old medical system from India. If you're interested in finding out more about what a Vata type is, stay tuned. Hi, my name is Michelle Fondin. I'm an author, speaker, and Vedic Master, and I've been teaching Ayurveda since 2008. I'm the author of these two books, The Wheel of Healing with Ayurveda, an easy guide to a healthy lifestyle, and The Wheel of Healing with Ayurveda companion workbook. And guess what? It's their 10th anniversary. They were first published in 2015. So I'm doing an Ayurvedic series to celebrate 10 years of the Wheel of Healing with Ayurveda. If you're new to my channel, I want to welcome you here. Make sure to subscribe below to never miss anything in this series on Ayurveda, meditation, yogic breathing, or spirituality. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up and put something in the comments section below if this video spoke to you. In the last video in this series, I did an introduction to the Ayurvedic doshas. So if you're not really certain what they are, go ahead and view this video after this one to get an overview of the Ayurvedic doshas. So the Vata Ayurvedic mind-body type, V-A-T-A, you may be a Vata type. Vata is composed of the elements of space, akasha, and air, vayu. Now you put together these two elements of space and air, and you get something spacey and airy. In fact, the key words for Vata, the Vata type, are airy and spacey, but it's light, like light in weight, not heavy, cold, like the vast outer space. And then dry, just like the air or the wind dries things out. And then you get roughness, which is another quality of Vata, because in the winter, are your hands a little rough? You gotta put lotion on them? That's the quality of air, which also tends to dry things out. And then you have mobile or changing or quick. And those are the qualities of air moving through space. And so when you have these qualities all together, you get a person, a personality type, either in mind or in body or in both. Now remember that you have all 5 of the elements within your mind body, but one may be predominant. And when you get the qualities of air and space in the mind, in the body, and maybe both together, that makes a very strong Vata type. Now, the principle of prana, which is vital life force, is regulated and moved through the principle of Vata, which is kind of interesting. So Vata is responsible for our breathing. Breathing in prana, breathing out. It is also responsible for our circulation, our circulatory system, our joints, movement of all sorts. So if you think about the Vata type being comprised of space and air, which is very light, right? It's light and airy. It's changing, it's moving, it's governed by movement. You're going to get a body type that's thinner. You're going to get a body type that may be long and lanky. You might get a body type that has over articulations in the joints or protruding front teeth. They might have unusual looks just because they're really bony. They tend to be very bony, and they don't have a lot of fat under their skin naturally. And so they tend to be able to eat and not gain weight. And maybe that's a problem for them. Maybe they really try to gain weight, but they really can't. They tend to have a lot of nervousness or nervous tics. They have a tendency to worry a lot or have fears when they're out of balance. And they have a tendency toward over talking, for example. So you might know someone who talks incessantly and they don't know when to stop talking. That is typically a Vata type. Or they pace when they're talking, or they have to have movement constantly in their body. So they might always shake their knees or tap their fingers or fidget and play with objects a lot. They might have very dry eyes, dry skin, problems with constipation, dry hair. They might have arthritis in the joints if they're a little bit older. They might have cracking joints. So if they get up from a chair, their joints may crack. And that's the dryness quality. They may also be very cold. So if you know someone, or maybe this is you, who tends to be cold all the time, that is Vata, because there's no heat in space. There's no heat with the windy principle moving through space. And so when you think about this, this is a very specific mind-body type. Now, we live in societies, in modern societies, that are very geared toward a lot of Vata, a lot of movement and change. And so even for those who may not have the primary mind-body type of Vata, they might be symptomatic with imbalances of Vata. They may have too much Vata in their mind-body constitution at a particular time, because we are called in this modern world to move and change so often. Our attention is constantly being called to one thing or another at any given moment. And usually we're being called to many different things with many different devices. If you have a phone, an iPad, a laptop, maybe two phones, and all of them are going off in different notifications at different times, then that is going to cause an imbalance in the Vata mind-body constitution. So even if you're symptomatic for a Vata imbalance, you may not be a Vata type. And what I always talk about is going back to your childhood and looking at your natural propensities, because by the time we reach adulthood or even middle adulthood, we can be so out of balance that it's really hard to tell what our nature is, our prakriti, our nature, our natural points. Some people may ask, can my mind-body type change over time? The answer is yes and no. So your natural state, if you are a Vata type, you were probably thin as a child. You probably moved a lot. You might have been the class clown. You may have been very, very creative. And your mother may have told you to stop fidgeting all the time and stop jumping on the bed. And why do you have to move all the time? Can't you just sit still for one moment? Or maybe you had a lot of fears and phobias as a child and you were always really fearful. And so when you look at those types of things, you can look back to your childhood and go, yeah, you know what? I feel like I really had more of those qualities of space and air as a child. But maybe as I grew up, I took on other traits. And because I was out of balance or maybe trying to ground myself, I had more of the earthy quality, for example. And so maybe that is why I look more like a Kapha type, which we'll talk about in another video. I may look more like a Kapha type now than a Vata type, but that's just because I'm trying to ground myself. Or I may look more like a Pitta type because I couldn't gain weight as a child. I was always so skinny that I started to lift weights and do really heavy weightlifting and eat lots of food to maintain that weight and gain muscle mass. And so I might look more like a Pitta type now, but really my natural state is a Vata type. So when you look at that, the reason why it's really important to understand your basic mind-body type or your predominant mind-body type is so that you can work with your primary dosha or primary two doshas to be able to regain balance. And a Vata type in its best state is creative, full of laughter and joy and openness and creativity and enlightenment, right? Because if you think about the ether, you think about space, akasha, the ether in the cosmos, enlightenment exists in the cosmos. It doesn't exist necessarily being grounded on earth, or it doesn't really exist in the fire element either. So when you think about how Vata types in their best way, when they are totally balanced, they're happy, they're joyful, they're laughing, they're creative, they're artists, they're actors, they're entrepreneurs. They can bring a lot of joy and levity to situations. They can be very spiritual, very exuberant. But on the flip side, when a Vata type is out of balance, they can be worried, fearful, have phobias, be concerned. They can even go into psychosis. So that creativity on the positive side could go into psychosis on the negative side. So remember, everything is a spectrum. But if you are a Vata type and your primary dosha is a Vata type, that is the primary dosha for anyone to get into balance, whether you are a Vata, Pitta, or Kapha. Why? Because Vata is the principle of movement. Since it's the principle of movement and it governs movement and change, when a person is out of balance, Vata is surely going to be one of the first doshas, if not the first, to go out of balance. So everyone needs to work on getting the Vata dosha into balance for their mind-body type. It's not the same for everyone because the proportions of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, or the proportions of space, air, fire, water, and earth for you are going to be different for somebody else because the proportions, the levels are what make you unique. So we can talk about that in a different video, but I hope this was helpful in understanding the Vata principle in Ayurveda. Please stay tuned to learn so much more on how you can balance the Vata dosha. I want to thank you so much for joining me here today. Thank you for subscribing if you're not yet subscribed. Thank you for putting something in the comments section below. Let me know if you are a Vata type or if you are a Pitta or Kapha primary mind-body type. Thank you for giving the video a thumbs up and sharing with others who might be interested in learning about this ancient healing system of Ayurveda. Thanks so much for your support. You can purchase one of my 12 published books, and I will see you in the next video.